Okay, welcome to March's PeriClinic, and we are talking about movement today. And I specifically called it movement, not exercise, because I think the word exercise has kind of, for a lot of people, quite negative connotations. I think for some people it's a great word, but for some people I think it feels a bit like, oh God, I've got to go to the gym and I've got to do all the big stuff and I've got to have all the appropriate kit. And so I'm just going to sit still because that feels less daunting. And I think movement feels more accessible, I guess. So that is what our topic is. But let's start off with who everyone is. Nikki.
Yes, well, hello, and Emily and Joe, thank you for having me today. My name is Nikki Leary. I'm a nutritional therapy practitioner. I'm an herbalist and a Reiki master. I'm also an ex-professional bodybuilder. Um, so movement is definitely something that I love talking about. I usually call it intentional movement instead of exercise, that kind of thing. Just something that is moving your body. And yeah, I'm excited to get into that topic today. So thank you for having me.
Awesome. And Joe.
Hello. Um, for anyone that doesn't know me, I know that I pop up on these regularly. I'm Jo. I co-pilot the hub with Emily, and in my other life, I'm also a therapist and a mindfulness teacher. And I help people to overcome all kinds of things. But I pivoted my work a few years ago to help women in perimenopause to cope with things like anxiety, brain fog, hot flashes, depending on where you are in the world, and overthinking and insomnia. So that's kind of my bag. That's what I do day to day.
And I feel for the purposes of this conversation, I should probably add that as well as running the hub, I am a qualified personal trainer and former triathlete, not to any great level, but did a lot of triathlon. And in my personal trainer work, I tend to work with people who kind of consider themselves allergic to exercise and know that they would like to move more but have no idea where to start. So I think that gives us quite a spectrum actually
It
of
does.
different opinions, which is fab because that's what we like for these.
Yeah.
So, movement. We all kind of know that our bodies like to be moved. I think we all know that on an intrinsic level, and I think we all know that we sort of feel better if we've danced to a favorite song or whatever. We kind of go, oh, that's quite nice, I feel quite good. Um, but as we go into perimenopause and our hormones change and things, quite what movement and exercise supports our body often changes. So, Nikki, do you want to kind of run with that, with your experiences, maybe, or your experiences with people that you've observed who have maybe had to change their relationship with exercise as their bodies change?
Yeah. So one of the things that I see really often is women who previously exercised a lot and now are struggling with joint pain. The sore knees, like I can't run, I can't do leg day. I'm struggling with that. So that's something that comes up a lot. It's very common in perimenopause, so that's why I want to bring that one up. So it kind of forces women to look at exercise differently. Again, the other thing I see is women who, are maybe used to trying to drop a dress size in a week to get down to a, big event they have coming up this weekend. And they're used to just running, like you go run 3 to 5 miles a day, and then, you get into that caloric deficit and then you shrink down. And suddenly that doesn't work anymore in perimenopause. So people who were using exercise as their diet buffer, right? So like I can eat whatever I want because I can just run it off. That doesn't work either. So that's just kind of ways that um, maybe, if you were an athlete your whole life, things might shift for you in perimenopause if you're struggling with, different issues now that you weren't having before.
Mm,
Totally, totally. And I
definitely.
can absolutely vouch for that, but from personal experience that um, I totally used triathlon as a way to like be able to eat more cake and stuff like that. And what I didn't realize was that level of endurance exercise. So I was doing long distance triathlon. So I was training for, 2.4 mile swim, then a 112-mile bike, and then a marathon. So that was the distances that I was training for. And I didn't realize until I learned the hard way. Um, quite how much stress that puts on the body and how much that messes with your cortisol levels and things. And the narrative obviously is exercise is good and more exercise is even more good and all the rest. And actually, when our hormones are shifting, actually our bodies want kindness, not just that constant, plugging away at kind of beating ourselves up, really.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Joe, have you got anything to add to that?
I think so much. It's just where to begin with it, really. Just
Mm.
listening. I think it's really useful for us to get into our personal experiences here because we have all had them. And every
Mm.
single woman I talk to, every single woman I work with has their own opinion on what their body was like, what their body is like now, what it can and can't do, how they feel about that, the bits of their identity that are attached to their body, how it looks, how it moves, how it feels when it moves. And all of these things are kind of bobbling around in our unconscious, unconsciously, unknowingly, erecting these kind of weird little barriers around what we feel we can do next because of these things. And sometimes it feels really useful to, I'm not going to get into it right now, but to just dig in a little bit into that. What is that about? Where have I attached meaning and story to what I can and can't do because of how I feel about myself? And obviously, I'm going to come at it from a psychologist perspective, but that's the biggest thing I see. And you're right, in terms of the word exercise is very emotive, depending on how we feel about our bodies and what state. I've never been a triathlete, I've never been a professional bodybuilder. I used to do a lot of karate when I was younger, and I used to do a lot of yoga and a lot of swimming, but I've never done it on any kind of professional level. And I was a bit embarrassed about how much of my identity I'd attached to my changing body and what that looked and felt like as I aged. And I'm 54 this year, and I know that my body can't do what my 44-year-old body can do or what my 34-year-old body can do, but it can also do other things. And I think it's that identity shift that goes along with the physical sensation of movement, what that capacity means to us, and how it defines who we are as a person moving forward.
I'm going to just add to that with the identity thing
Mm.
that I think a lot of us, if we weren't in the sports teams at school and stuff, have this really complex relationship with exercise, which again is why I wanted to call it movement, because I
Yeah.
think, if you were or you perceived yourself to be the person who was always picked last for any team sports or whatever, then the idea of formal exercise is terrifying.
Yeah. I was that person that got picked
So
last.
was I. Totally I was.
Yeah.
And it impacted my triathlon ability. Like I thoroughly enjoyed doing triathlons. I was very slow,
Yeah.
but it absolutely got in there.
Right. And I felt like I was doing karate to prove something to the world, really, and myself about who I was and what I could do. And there was a lot of kind of righteous rage that was coming out in that karate as well, in terms of it being very good for mental discipline as well as physical. And I was fit. I was really fit in my 30s, physically, cardiovascularly, I was strong and fit. Still strong, not quite as fit.
But no, it's interesting. And I mean, there's the narrative left, right, and centre, rightly, understandably, completely, that as our hormones decline, we need to be strength training because we need to be protecting our bones. And I feel like it feels for a lot of women like another should, as
Yes.
opposed to, and so another thing, oh God, I ought to be exercising as well. God, it's another thing I've got to do. As opposed to thinking, okay, where do I find my fun?
Mm.
Where do I find something that slots into my life? Like
Yeah.
Nikki, your bodybuilding stuff, obviously you have intentionally created the space for that to be part of your life. But I'm sure you see clients who kind of think, well, oh God, you want me to add movement in as well?
Well,
Mm.
yeah, I mean, because like you said, Emily, it's a chore, right? It becomes a chore that a lot of women have negative memories or meaning attached to it. Like the fear of going into a gym
Mm.
is real. I mean, if you don't know what you're doing and you walk into that gym and you see all those machines and all those fit people who look like they're focused and they're, owning the world, and that's very scary. Like I understand the intimidation, I've been on that side. I didn't grow up as a bodybuilder. I started strength training in perimenopause. It was a way for me to lose weight and to regulate my hormones. So the benefits of it are real, but getting into it and just being like, oh, start strength training, that is the scariest thing ever.
It really is,
I
isn't it?
think where I start with my clients is really, what's your goal? A lot of times your goal is not to be a bodybuilder, right? That's, you want to look good naked is usually the goal. That's actually how I started off, is I was just wanting to look good naked.
Yeah.
Um, so that can motivate you in different ways and you eventually become maybe a professional bodybuilder. I don't know. But but for me, whatever motivates you is going to kind of drive what you're willing to do to get that.
Yeah.
So if you're motivated to have a lot of muscle tone, then yeah, strength training is probably on the agenda. But it doesn't need to be a to-do list item. It needs to be like, hey, what's on your to-do list going towards your goal, right? Like going towards something that you want to achieve. It doesn't have to be inside a gym. And actually, I have many, many clients who have achieved their fitness goals without ever stepping foot into a gym.
Yeah.
Amazing.
So, I think that can blow the belief that I have to go to the gym. I have to spend money on a gym. I have to have expensive equipment. I have to have time to go, and put that into my schedule. And that's not true.
Yeah,
You don't have to do any of those things to achieve your goal.
it's true.
And I think you've absolutely hit the nail on the head for the why as well, because there are so many external reasons why we're being told that we should exercise and we should do this and we should do that, and that's just everywhere. And actually, if you can really drill down with somebody to what their why is, and it might be to look good naked, but it might also be to be able to play with their grandkids or to be able to walk the dogs further or to whatever. And once you nail down actually what that why is,
Mm.
then you've got your driver,
You're
haven't you?
right. Yeah.
And it might be, if you know that your family's got a history of osteoporosis, well, that's a hell of a driver to stay strong and to work on your balance to make sure that osteoporosis doesn't, kick you in the backside too soon. But I think we've got so much going on in midlife,
Oh,
haven't we,
yeah.
that, it can feel like it's just yet another chore, as you say,
Right.
Nikki.
Exactly. It really is. I think for me, my why, I've got a lot of whys, but one of my big whys is my granddaughter Bella is nearly 4, and I want to be able to just pick her up without thinking about it. I want to be able to carry her. I want to be able to pick up a 12-kilo bag of dog food when it arrives without thinking about it. It's all the basics of life. I want to be able to walk up and down the steps outside my house without my knees absolutely killing me. I want to just be able to move without thinking about it unless I choose to think about it and make it mindful on purpose. But I want it to be my choice. And I don't want those flexibilities and givens that I've had earlier in my life to be removed from me because I've kind of not actively protected them, I suppose. And to build muscle so that I can metabolize food and hormones and to protect my bones.
Yeah. I just want to be able to dance to songs
There you go. Perfect.
and like laugh along. There was, I mean, you two know this, but to anyone watching this outside of this, as well as working in the hub and all the other stuff I do, I also have a job in a bar restaurant near where I live.
Yeah.
And a few weeks ago, we had a really, really busy night, which was fab because it's winter and where I am is very much a sort of tourist place in the summer, but there's not much going on in the winter. We had this crazy busy night. And I saw a video. It was the three of us who were working behind the bar, all dancing away. And then as I watched the video, I realized, because I didn't have the sound up, I realized I was doing tragedy to steps because then the dance routine came in. And I'm like, yep,
Yeah.
okay. Student me was really happy that night. I was in 90s heaven.
I love that.
And I don't want to lose that. I felt like I was hit by a bus the next morning because I had danced for about 3 hours on that shift, as well as running up and down the stairs in the restaurant and all the rest. But oh my God, how much fun! And
Yeah.
I don't ever want to lose the ability to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they say that after the age of 65, so right, and you're not there, but you kind of look down the line. So after the age of 65, if you fall down, there's a 50% chance that you will be able to be mobile
Yeah.
again at your same
And that
level.
is terrifying.
Terrifying.
So it is, but it should be motivating, right? Instead of being
Right.
so scary as, what can I do today to avoid that at
Yeah.
65? And that might be someone's why,
Yeah.
right?
Absolutely. And that's such a like there are such simple things you can do to protect against that why.
Mm.
Even like really simple things like working on your balance so that you don't fall in the first place.
Yeah.
Because if you avoid the fall, do you know what I mean? Like the knock-on effect of just avoiding the fall is huge.
Mm.
And I just think there's so many things that we can do for ourselves that doesn't need to be gym based unless you want it to be, doesn't need to be team sports unless you want it to be, doesn't need to be hard and fast and all out of breath and sweaty and, but that are future proofing you every single day.
Yeah. Most of the women that I work with that come to me expressing this have got themselves into a stuckness place, a rut, or they're walled in. I talk about the metaphor. What does it feel like to you? And some of them say, I feel like I'm behind a glass wall, or I feel like I'm in a hole, or I feel like it feels like I'm on a hamster wheel. I'm not actually getting anywhere. And one of the things that we do, first of all, is we actually shift that metaphor. We shift the movement within the metaphor, which kind of links back to what I wanted to touch on today around movement. My interpretation of movement is when it feels difficult to move your body, let's move it in your mind first of all and start there and move something within that metaphor to create the change. We've got this really clever part of the brain that when you read the words on a page, kick the ball, or you watch somebody kick a ball, the same parts of the brain, the neurons in those parts of the brain, they start to form, those little kind of neurons start to fire together and wire together as if you had kicked the ball yourself. So very often, one of the ways that I can get women out of this stuckness is to do the mental work on it first. And that inner mental rehearsal is huge to say, right, okay, so now that you've pictured yourself doing it, let's actually think, right, what's your one tiny next step? Not the whole thing, even if it's just getting your running shoes on, even if it's just putting on your leggings, what is that one tiny thing? Because we need to ease people back into this gently so that they don't start to, that inner critic doesn't start to chirp up and they start to loathe themselves already before they've even started.
I have to laugh when you said the kick the ball thing. My hand-eye coordination, my foot-eye coordination, whatever, is appalling. So I was there. I was like, "Yep, yep. Oh, I missed."
I
Oh,
love
well.
that. But do you see what I mean about the principle of it?
But yeah, the
How
whole
it
thing, I was like,
works?
and yeah, that was really disappointing.
Yeah.
Like my kick was just went,
All right,
I
let's
was,
do a different one with you
I
then.
was no, as far as I was at the penalty shot. I was there,
Yeah.
and then I just kind of like,
Yeah. But look how powerful that was.
I know that was my point is that it is really powerful.
Exactly. It really
And
is.
I used to use it all the time with swimming.
Yes.
So much of that. So,
So
and you would have
powerful.
done, Nikki, with all of your lifting that you're thinking the lift and then you're doing the lift.
Well, yeah, it's the mind muscle connection, but I mean, they say energetically, right? That they've done studies that if you're just mentally walking through, so if you're an athlete, you're mentally walking through a game before you play, envisioning yourself making that shot and getting it, Emily, right? You got to get that. You got to actually hit the shot too, but you envision that part. But they say athletes that even they just strictly mentally trained, meaning they didn't actually dribble a ball or anything. Their level of improvement was just as high
They
as
have
the
studied this.
athletes that did. I mean,
Yeah.
that mental piece is so huge that I mean, Joe, that's a great idea for people who just want to get started
Mm.
because what I see is that stuckness, right? You have that mental fog of
Yeah.
like, it's scary, right? It kind of feels scary until you do it. You're like, it's not that bad, right? But you get that stuck. But I see it from a nutrition side in their body that their body is stuck too,
Yes.
right? It's
Yes.
it's it's the energy needs to flow. It needs to be moving. Um, and that's something that I kind of see it, where maybe someone's constipated
Yeah.
or they have a slow metabolism and their toxins are building up in their body and their liver and they're struggling with, hot flashes. They're
Mhm.
struggling with those anxiety feelings. That's really just toxins that are built up in your body and they can't get out if you're not moving.
Yeah.
Your toxins get out through your lymph
Yeah.
system, and there's no pump on your lymph system, which means the only way that your lymph moves things through your body is by you physically moving.
Mm.
It doesn't matter if you're doing, exercise. You don't have to be doing like the perfect 10-step rhythm dance jazzercise move, to get your body moving. You just need to be physically moving your body
Yeah.
however you want to get your lymph moving so that your body is moving. And then all of this stuff, all of that goes along with it. It's physical, it's energetic and mental. All of them come together. They're all connected.
Yeah, they really are.
Absolutely. And I think it's quite easy when we are in a sort of conversation around movement and exercise to inadvertently kind of assume that everybody can move the same amount as, but even for people who have limited movement, chair-based exercises, getting your shoulders moving, any of those things, it's just starting to get your blood moving. It's starting to get your whole system moving
Mm.
so that you can actually all the rest of your systems can kind of go, oh, thank you. Yeah, that's what I needed.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to sort of put that in there in case anybody's watching this and thinking, well, oh, that's a bit bloody ableist, isn't it? So no, we're talking about whatever movement you are able to do. We're not talking about
Exactly.
needing to get to the top of Everest or otherwise you're a failure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we're always respectful and mindful of everybody's body limitations, any restrictions of any kind. We always have to be self-compassionate and compassionate to the people with whatever everybody's got going on. But in some shape or form, there's normally a way for most of us to be able to incorporate different kinds of movement into our day. This morning, the last thing I felt like doing was getting in a pool or going for a jog. I hate jogging. I've never liked it. I wish I did like running, but I don't. Anyway, but I had to go over to, I'm the therapist in residence for another farm actually. My friend Jo, also called Jo, runs this amazing business and she helps. It's a community enterprise for people with additional needs. And we kind of have sessions there. Anyway, long story short, I needed to go over to the farm today and go and have a talk with the electrician because we're building a new building and take some stuff over. And I was doing this thing and I was back and forth to the car and I was walking through the farm up the tracks and I was thinking, I'm moving.
Yeah.
I'm moving. And I hadn't even realized, and it felt good. And I hadn't even factored that in how useful that was going to be to part of my day today. And I was just suddenly very mindful of the fact that my body is moving. And it was the weirdest sensation. And I was really, really pleased.
Yeah. And with the sort of the demographic I work with my sort of PT stuff, it's very much helping people to start and to find that 5 minutes that is 5 minutes more than they did yesterday, 3 minutes that's 3 minutes more than they did yesterday. I'm not talking about an hour, I'm not talking about 2 hours, whatever. But at the other end of the spectrum, and something that doesn't really get talked about very much, sadly, is overexercise.
Really
And
good
that can
point.
be incredibly damaging to the whole
Yes.
body,
Yeah.
And I think it's something that also needs addressing. There is definitely a happy medium. Our bodies want to move.
Mm.
Our internal systems need that, you know, zhuzhing up so that the blood starts pumping and, your heart sort of raises a bit and all the rest. Absolutely. But the narrative still at large is that exercise is good, so more exercise is even better. And oh my God, let's do even more exercise because that must be even better.
Right.
And certainly, as our hormones are shifting and as everything's kind of changing, there is definitely a tipping point beyond which we're doing more harm than good. And I
Mm.
think it's worth raising that side of the spectrum as well.
Yeah. We see so many messages in the huge community on a pretty much daily basis around, oh, I don't know what I'm doing wrong. I exercise, I go to the gym every day for like at least an hour. I'm exercise, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, I'm doing all the things. And you're absolutely right. The message is that there's this toxicity still around. If you do
It
more,
really is.
it will work. And it's not true. So, how
Yeah.
do we address that then?
Self-kindness.
Mm.
It always comes down to that, doesn't it?
Mm.
Pretty much. Every one of these good talks we do comes back to that.
There is a
But
root core of this, isn't there?
there is, and for some people, exercising 6 days a week is their self-kindness. If their body is wanting that, crack on.
Yeah.
Do not stop. If your body wants that exercise and you're still getting all the benefits, you're getting the endorphins, it's giving you energy, it's giving you all of the positives, do it.
Yeah.
It's when you get to that point of feeling that you have to do it, but you're exhausted, and actually what you want to do is sleep. There comes a point when your body is telling you something, and the self-kindness is actually to go, right, maybe I do need to skip the exercise today because actually maybe I need an extra half an hour in bed. And
Mm.
that's okay.
Yeah. And I think it's really valid to remember that in perimenopause, particularly, we are different every day. Metabolically, we're different every day.
Yeah.
And it's more of a snapshot of a roller coaster car in motion on a picture of any day, rather than this is how my body usually always has been for the last 10 years. So when we bring some kind of awareness to that, we can kind of say, okay, so just for today, maybe I need to rest. There's a fear, isn't there, of stepping outside what we've always done.
Yeah.
So maybe if we are saying to ourselves, okay, what if just for today it's a recovery day? My body is it's listening, isn't it, to that signal that we're getting, and saying, okay, so what if today is a recovery day? What if just for today I do it differently? I don't go to the gym, or I just go for a shorter walk, or I just for today.
And what's interesting actually is when you then look at the pro athletes, your Olympians, whatever, rest is structured into their training plan.
There you go.
It is such a crucial part of the training plan. And by rest, it is rest.
Yes.
It
We're not
has, because I
machines.
mean, it's restorative rest too.
Right.
It's not just rest. And it's, look at why your body, look at muscle, right? How does muscle even build? Okay, we look
Yeah.
at the anatomy of muscle. So
Mhm.
you go to your muscle, you break it down. You actually do micro tears that you're
You
putting in
tear
your
it.
muscle when you're doing that movement. You're micro tearing your muscle. Then when you're done working out for the day, your body goes back and it rebuilds that muscle, but it rebuilds it just a little bit bigger, right?
Mm.
It's just
Yeah.
like, oh, we're gonna put 2 rows of masking tape on this leak this time, right? Last time it leaked.
Mm.
So your body continues to build that up. But that restore period where you're actually building it up, it takes nutrients. You need to be fueling your body so it has resources to grab from to build that muscle. But then you also have to give it that time. And if
Mm.
you're constantly working it and tearing it apart, but it hasn't gotten to fix it yet, then you are doing more damage to your body, And again, it's not that you couldn't push every day if you're like, I love to exercise every day, but in general, I say recommend, everyone's different. I recommend being in alignment with your body.
Mm.
Like if you
Yeah.
really, if there's times I'll admit as a pro athlete, then I was not in alignment with my body. That was a goal I was making as a professional. That's what I was getting paid to do, right? Is to work out.
Mm.
Most of us, I mean, right now, I'm not in season. I am not in alignment with that. I skipped the gym. Like I haven't been to the gym all week because there's 2 feet of snow outside. I
Mm.
mean, like, ugh. Um, so the gym is just not for me. It does not mean that I can't care for my body in other ways. It's not just one way,
Yeah.
right? And what I see a lot in my clients from an energetic perspective, but also from their lab results, is their body is actually asking for gentle.
Mm.
Um, and we're so used to, we're taught, we're programmed, you got to push, you got to be more disciplined. Like you're fat because you didn't try hard enough. And it's like,
Yeah.
yeah, actually, I mean, maybe your minerals are out of alignment, right? And maybe that's what's wrong. And maybe if you slow down enough instead of pushing, that a resolution would surface
Yeah.
because you would look for guidance rather than that old, well, maybe 2 workouts will help me. Because that was my story. I literally went to the gym. Oh my gosh, they gave us stickers whenever we attended a class.
Wow.
So I'm just that weirdo that gets motivated by stickers. Like I'm like,
Right. I
give
mean,
me a sticker. I mean, I'm gonna get on the
stickers are life.
board.
If I'm honest, stickers are
Um,
life.
Yeah, and they had spin classes, and I would go twice a day. I mean, twice a day, spin in the morning, spin in the afternoon. And guess how much weight I lost after doing that for a whole year? One whole year of busting my butt and going to this gym, getting all of the stickers. I lost 0 pounds. Like
Yeah, because your
zero,
poor
like
body
people
couldn't
can
keep
sit on
up.
their couch all year and gain and lose 0 pounds. And I went and busted my butt. But sometimes it's not, the answer isn't pushing harder. Like sometimes it's not the answer. It's caring for your body, it's moving your body, but that can be so much gentler than what we're taught. It doesn't have to be, the 10-mile run or that crazy spin class. It could be walking with your dog in a
Right.
beautiful area that calms your nervous system while moving your lymph, connecting with your animal, and being grateful for being alive. Like all of those things that you're checking a
Yeah.
million boxes off with that one versus just going to the gym and forcing yourself through another workout. Movement doesn't have to be hard.
That's
No,
literally my exercise regime that you've described is dogs, somewhere
yeah.
lovely, walking, good nervous system soothing, mindfulness, my brain in free fall, brilliant, love it.
But also, if you're following a strict training plan, as I was when I was doing the Ironman stuff and things, those training plans tend not to allow for hormonal fluctuations, even pre-perimenopause. They're not allowing for the fact that as a woman,
Yeah.
you know, you show up differently throughout your cycle. Like trying to bang out a 6 hour bike ride, just before your period is really difficult. But in your follicular phase, hell, I've got that. Give me the hill reps and all the rest of it. I'll take it. I didn't realize
Almost
this when I was
like,
doing it.
do you know, it sounds like those training programs might have been designed for men.
Right. Because obviously women can't possibly do triathlon.
God, no.
I know. What a ridiculous notion. But it was true. And it's, I look back on, that stage of my 30s and early 40s when I was just like, oh my God,
Mm.
I was desperately trying to stick to the plan at the detriment of my body, of my health, of my hormones, of everything. And exactly like you said, Nikki, you just beat yourself up and well, I better go and do more because, I'm clearly a bit of a failure. And then I was exhausted. Like when I say exhausted, I mean fatigue, like I'd never known it. And no one had any answers. And I eventually went and saw a nutritionist who got me to do a cortisol test, like the saliva test things. And the results when they came back were terrifying. Like I had pushed through for such a long time and I got the results, and that was finally the thing that made me go, oh, oh, I see. And she was like, right, so you have to stop.
Mm.
Interesting. I mean, I've got a half marathon on Sunday, so I can't really stop. She's like, no, seriously, you have to stop. Like your body can't take any more of this. And
Mm.
it was such an eye opener. And once I started allowing myself to stop, it caught up with me so quickly and became abundantly clear how much damage I'd done to myself.
Mm. When they said to you, you have to stop, did you feel that kind of like wall of resistance that,
Yeah,
but I don't want to, and what do I do instead, and how do I stop, and all of those questions?
yeah, you're taking away my control thing.
Mm.
My exercise had become a control thing. It had become a thing that I do, and that controls my allowance for cake, my allowance for fun things. And it was totally screwed up thinking, totally, you know, seeped in diet culture and all the rest,
Yeah.
but it's, yeah. So she said, no, you've got to stop. So I did the half marathon that weekend with a friend, and we just trotted our way around and laughed pretty much the entire way. Um, Scooped up some lady who was really struggling. Bless her. It was her first half marathon. Scooped her up, and I was like, oh, "We're doing run walk. My watch will beep at some point, and then we sort of go a little bit quicker, and then my watch will beep again, and then we go a bit slower, and join us." And she was kind of like, "Okay." And so my watch would beep, and she went, "Oh, we're walking again already. This is brilliant." And it turned out she was running to raise money for a charity for Romanian rescue dogs. Well, I have three Romanian rescue dogs. It was just one of those beautiful events. And I
Mm.
got my medal, and then I just went home and slept and slept and slept and emptied my diary for 3 months.
Wow. That's
And
powerful stuff.
that is how far I had pushed myself too much,
Mm.
was that it needed 3 months to even faintly recover.
Yeah.
And so now I am very opinionated about over exercising and about how much damage it can do.
Yeah, rightly so. It's a really good story.
I mean,
It
you
wasn't at
learned,
the time.
right?
It wasn't fun.
No, no,
But
but
learn
now.
the hard way, but you learned,
Yeah.
I mean,
Good.
and
Yeah.
hopefully your story's helping other people who right now who are like, oh, maybe I don't want 3 months down. Maybe
Yeah.
I don't have time for 3 months down. Maybe I can slow down now.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's not about stopping. It's not about defeat. It's not about giving in. It's about what your body needs now. And when you actually look at the bigger picture, through puberty, I don't know about you two, but I was tired a lot of the
Oh,
time
yeah.
because hormones are really tiring things when they're doing their stuff.
The
And
fluctuation is exhausting.
right. And the same in perimenopause. And it stands to reason then that you do need more sleep, you do need more rest, not necessarily sleep, because I know a lot of us can't sleep, but a lot more rest, a lot more downtime, a lot more intentional movement, intentional joy, intentional self-care, intentional stuff.
Yeah,
That
absolutely.
doesn't take as much time because you're not slugging your guts out on it. But when you do it, you focus on it, you do it, and you're done, and you get all the benefits without doing yourself in.
Mm. We don't question it in teenagers going through puberty, do we? We don't even think twice about why they might need more rest.
Yeah.
And there's this culture, this is true of work as well and life in general. We're so kind of bombarded with do it all, have it all, be it
Yeah.
all. And
Yeah.
almost to the extent that if we don't want it all or do it all or are it all, then we're failing in some way. Because we should want to. We should want to do more. We should want to keep going. We should want to. And it's just literally shoulding all over ourselves, as Kelly Casperson says. I love her. And at no point have we ever questioned why and what happens if we don't want it all. And what about if this is just a menu from which we're allowed to select what it is we actually do want? And there's this hustle culture, this kind of post-industrialized view of life that if you aren't continually pushing and pushing in any direction, movement of some kind somewhere, you're failing. And that is my biggest bugbear of midlife, I think.
And I think there's still a really strong notion that movement can't be joy. Movement
Yes.
has to be hard work. It has to be, you have to like work hard and then you might get some endorphins and that's when you'll get the joy and as opposed to just joy
Yeah.
in between. Like when I used to be running a lot, I learned that for me, run walk worked much better because then my brain had something to latch onto and I didn't just go, oh God, I'm out here for hours and this is going to be terrible and I hate the world. And then I go, oh, it's a walk bit. Oh, I love the world. The world's lovely. Oh, a woodpecker. Oh, look, there's a hare. And for me, that's the joy. That's the immediate joy that I can get from movement outside is seeing wildlife, seeing nature, seeing all of that. And you ain't got that in the gym.
It's about being in the process, isn't it? Rather than doing it just so that we get a payback.
And don't get me wrong, the gym has I enjoy the gym for different reasons. Um, but I think it's finding the movement that genuinely lifts you up. And it might be just putting on your favorite music and leaping around the lounge.
Yeah.
You'll still
Massive
get out of
value
breath.
in
You're
that.
still getting everything moving, and you're singing at the top of your lungs, and you're having a great time. You're just having your own little disco.
Yeah, exactly.
Still moving limp, still moving, your body benefits from it. I mean, that's all
Exactly.
again, no one says exercise can't be fun.
Yeah.
Right.
We're programmed with, oh, people on treadmills all lined up, like, hey, like that doesn't have to
Mm.
be exercise. It
Yeah.
can be if that's what you enjoy and that's your moment to listen to your audiobook and get on your
Mm,
treadmill, go for it. It
right.
doesn't have to look that way. And if your body, if you have those days, even if you are training, right? So say you are training, you're doing really good, and you're going to the gym, you have that one day you just kind of feel like, no, I don't wanna. maybe you want to walk outside. And
Yeah.
maybe that day you let yourself, or, maybe that day you swim or you bike or you, um, jazzercise, whatever you need to do. But you can switch it up, and it's just alignment with your body. When you're listening to your body, it it allows different kinds of movement too. I mean, that's something your body wants to move. It wants to get toxins out. It wants to release, that endorphin and all those things. They're connecting good things. It just doesn't care how you do it. We care. We think it has to be not fun, but your body doesn't care.
No, and I think if you look at kids and how kids exercise, how kids move, they're
Mm.
leaping around, they're running around, they're jumping in puddles, they're going on the swings, they're doing all these things. And if you go on the swings as an adult, oh my God, it uses a lot of muscle groups. Like who knew? Like as a
Yeah.
kid, you just do it. And actually, we can take a lot from that, from watching how kids play, watching how dogs play, watching how animals just move their body. Dogs, they get up from
Mm.
asleep, they stretch always. They don't just leap up and
Always.
go and do. They always, oh, big stretch, right, ready to go. We don't do that. We've got ourselves out of our intrinsic relationship with our body into just thinking, too much thinking.
We're not in the moment anymore. And we're in our heads so much that we've actually forgotten that we've got a body at all, really, a lot of the time. And particularly midlife women, we become very much unfriended from our bodies because they're
Mm.
doing stuff we didn't expect or we don't like or we find uncomfortable. And that's totally makes sense, all of it. So there's again a paradigm around shifting the perspective of what our body means to us as well, which we get onto from a completely different topic, but that is a way back into it. But when we are more in the moment, whatever that moment is, and just finding just a tiny little bit of self-compassion to meet it in that moment, exactly as we are in that moment, without overthinking it, without thinking I must be better in the next moment or everything's going to go to shit. This is more about how is it right now and how can I be with that as best I can in this moment? Because
Yeah,
this is still a moment of my precious life.
yeah. So if you two were going to go and do some sort of movement as soon as we get off this call, what would be the thing that you would do that would just light you up whilst you were moving? What would be the thing that today would be the thing that your body wants in terms of movement? Nikki, what would be yours?
Okay, so I complain a lot about the snow. Okay, I'm new to Wisconsin. This is my first winter in Wisconsin to anyone who hasn't met me before. So winters is tough, and we just got a record amount of snow. So we've got 2 feet of snow on the ground outside. It's just insane. It's past my knees. Um, and I complain because I do not like that. And we got gravel roads, all of that fun. But I removed my body today. And actually now I'm going to feel obligated to go do this. So we have snowshoes and I have a border collie. Um, and my border collie would love nothing more than to go jump through the snowdrifts that are out
Right.
there. And she would love if I attended that event with her, right? So me moving my body through the snow, you can dress for the weather, right? And then that's a story I tell myself. It's too cold. I can't go out there. Well, people are outside all the time, right? So I could dress appropriately. I could go out there and I could take my dog for a walk in the snow. That's how I moved today.
And I'm just going to say the extra fun that you can have with that, throwing snowballs for dogs. I mean, that is a never-ending source of fun.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
And it gets you bending down and bending up and throwing, and it's brilliant. Joe, what's yours?
I've got a couple, but the first, again, it's about your why, isn't it?
Yeah.
If I'm completely honest, I'm not always great at wanting to move my body, and I totally accept that. However, in the context of this question, we have had a brand new shed built storage wise, and I'm really excited to go and move stuff out of my beautiful potting shed so that I can start growing. And I need to talk to you about this, Nikki. I'm starting to grow some medicinal herbs. I can't say herbs, I'm sorry, herbs and botanicals and things in my beautiful shed that I want to go and reclaim. I'm all about reclaiming, as you know. So my movement, it's sunny. It's like 18 degrees, which is what, 64 Fahrenheit here today. And we've got some sun for the first time in a long time. So my movement that I want to go do is reclaim my shed. I want to lift stuff. I want to move it into the new shed. I want to move up and down the garden. I want to feel my body out in the sunshine, shifting stuff around.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So my movement this morning, and I will have an extra bit this afternoon, not in a sort of punishment way at all, just because it's,
Mm.
nice to do different things. This morning it was our first inspection of the beehives, which is
Ooh.
lots of lifting and bending and whatever. So in traditional exercise, no, not at all. In being outside, being present, moving accordingly, yeah. Did I have to move slightly more quickly a couple of times? Yeah. One hive got a little bit arsy with us.
Oh, was that the mean
um,
hive or was it the...
no, no, no. The mean hive didn't come to Scotland. Yeah, they didn't come to Scotland. We only have lovely hives now. But that was a movement that moves a whole different set of muscles to what I use in the winter. But in the summer, you're saying, oh God, yeah, I've got to be lifting all these things and doing all this stuff. And after this call, I think I'm going to just put on a bit of music and just move to it in whatever way feels good. And sorry, neighbours.
It's such a great nervous system
Right.
resetter and soother. Any kind of movement of any description is a great nervous system signal from the body. Bearing in mind that 80% of our nerve fibers go from the body to the brain and not the other way around, it's a great system evidencer that we're alive, we're in control of the world around us, and that we're safe.
Yeah.
Any
Yeah.
kind of movement.
Yeah. And I'm going to sort of round this up, I think now we're sort of broadly at time. So um, I was just going to say, for anybody who is looking to start and really feels like getting started is daunting and terrifying, there is now so much out there. There are really good apps that almost gamify moving. So each bicep curl, you get some points, whatever, and stuff like that, which if that's how you're motivated, that's brilliant. And things like Pokemon Go are great for just getting you out there and being outdoors and stuff like that. If, however, you've resonated with the idea of overdoing it, please reach out
Mm.
to any of the three of us. We can all help you to get back in tune with what your body actually needs.
Yeah, definitely.
So yeah. Nikki, any final thoughts on movement as a whole?
I would just say, a reminder that movement doesn't have to be scary. Truly, you are moving. Think of it just moving lymph through your body, moving your cells through, moving toxins through your body so they can get processed and get out. So the more you're moving, the more you're detoxing your own body. You don't need to do crazy detoxes. You just need to move, drink your water. You know what you need to do already.
Mm.
But think of it from that attitude. Think of it not as a punishment to self, but as a hug to yourself, right? This is something that I'm gifting to myself for bettering my own wellness. We always put everyone else first. And this is one of those times, again, it comes back to your self-worth that you are worth moving today.
Yeah.
And, I'll add that I love going to the gym. I really do enjoy my time there. Struggle in the winter with gravel roads and deer and it being dark.
Yeah.
So I actually skipped the gym for about like 5 or 6 weeks. I didn't go to the gym at all. Um, and I mean, like when I walked in, the owner, jaw drop, right? That's how much of a a gap I had that when I did go back last week, um, it was a shock, but I felt so much better. And you kind of get that like stuck feeling of like, it feels daunting. It feels scary. Now I haven't gone in so long. It's going to hurt. I'm going to be out of shape. But just going back, I realized like, man, I'm in such a good mood and I have so much more energy after going to the gym this morning than I have when I sleep for that extra time. So if you're on the other end of the spectrum where you don't need that recovery, you need to just get out there. You just take that first step. Doesn't have to be the gym. It could be walking, but just get your body moving and do it for you, not for anyone else. Do it for you.
Joe?
Um, Really kind of echoing what Nikki said and then taking it a step back from that, in that if even the thought of getting moving in any way is filling you with dread and shame and guilt and all of these other emotions, then just come sit with me for a bit and I will demonstrate to you how you're already moving. You already are. You always have been. Your heart's beating, your blood is pumping through your veins, your breath is moving in and out of your body, there's movement between your ribs. You're perpetually moving. We're just taking it up the tiniest of notches and then the tiniest of notches again until we come to a place where we've noticed significant movement has shifted, and that's literally it. And we can make it as easy and gentle and self-compassionate as it needs to be.
Awesome. And in the meantime, get a dog and go walk it.
Absolutely.
It's always ultimately the answer, isn't it?
Yeah, it's always a dog.
Yeah, it's always. Thank you very much, ladies. That's been fab as always.
Lovely, thank you.
Thank you.
Oh. They moved, stop recording again.